This is a Jeanneau 57 sailing boat. It is a 2011 and it's a very intriguing boat, in particular the layout, which I'm really quite surprised by. I'll show you that obviously as we go inside, but we'll start here on the back. You can see it's got this drop down bathing platform, and you can also see very clearly it's got a garage for a tender. So that lives in there, all inflated. That's a nice feature because it's nothing worse than having to keep pumping up and deflating the tender. That just means it's there ready to go, which is excellent. We'll step up into here. Look at the size of this cockpit. That's really good. Now, people always say in the comments, why are there two wheels? Well, I'll explain. Because when this boat's sailing, imagine all the sails are up here and the wind is on the side and the boat is heeling over with the sails down this side because the wind is coming from this direction. It means you can steer with this helm and you've got a clear view past it all. Now, of course, if you tack and go the other way, sails are on this side, boat's leaning over that way, then you want to be over here. So that's why they have the twin wheels. Now, if we have a look down here, there's a couple of things of interest. One is a pretty big storage locker under there, and the one next to it, interestingly, isn't a storage locker. What this is, I'm going to just release that, there we go. That's access directly down into the tender garage. So when the back is up, you can still get in there. If you want to get gear out, you can reach it. Let's drop that back down. There we go. That fella there, I am tempted to say, is an emergency tiller. I'm pretty certain that's what that is. So if you had steering failure, let's close that one, you can drop that down through the floor here and you can still control the boat. You've got your multifunction display in the centre. There's also things like boat speed and depth and wind instrumentation across here on both of these helms. And then you've got these big powered winches back here. That's what these two buttons are for, and those ones next to it, little joysticks, are bow and stern thruster controls, and you've got the engine control here as well. This lifts up to make a large dining area around the centre, so these leaves here come up, and then in the centre of this there's things like an ice chest, so you can put drinks and things in there if you want to. We'll head around the outside first and then we'll go and look at the inside. Another power winch here, and you've got the same on the other side, of course. Decent sized spray hood and teak decks, which is nice. I like the styling of this. It's a nice looking boat, and you've got plenty of windows across here as well, and hatches that you can open for ventilation, so plenty of light into there. It's slab reefing, so the mainsail all lies down in this big bag along here, and if we come on further up, it's got roller furling on the foresail, and then right up here is electric anchor winch, the anchor hanging on the front there, and you can see there's space for another one next to it. But if we stand here and take a look back, you can see just how enormous this boat is, but also how enormous the rig is. Look at this. Up and up and up and up. There's the top. Very good. Let's head back down this side. This, in case you're wondering, is a Princess S66, and we have a tour of one of those on the channel, so if you want to see that, you can do. Look at the size of this rigging on here. It's really solid stuff. These are the lines leading aft, so you can control everything from the cockpit. And then we'll come right back down this side. There's a bimini on here, so you can shade this area if you want to. And as we step on in, this is where it gets a bit intriguing in here. Let me show you. So, steps on down, normal sort of thing. Look at the space in here. That's lovely. I love these seats in here. You can see they're actually clipped down so they won't fly around when you're out at sea. Where should we start? We'll start over here with the galley, and we'll work our way forward and back. So, galley here, of course, this is all storage in places like this. It's a gimbaled oven, of course, 3-burner, and there's the oven and grill underneath there as well. And even a little extractor fan on this one, which is interesting. Loads of storage up in places like this. Actually, that's a microwave, having said it's storage. But that's all storage all the way around in places like that. And you can see it all the way along there as well. So loads of places. Tuck your bits and pieces away. And then underneath here is a top-loading fridge, but rather cleverly, there's a door on there as well. The idea of that is that in harbour you can get stuff out like a conventional fridge, but if you're at sea and the boat's charging around and heeling over, you can open that without everything flying out. That, another fridge compartment, I think. maybe a freezer, but I think that's another fridge. Sink underneath there, and rubbish in that one. So that's the galley, and then as we head on forward, this is this great saloon area just here. I can say dinette, which it is, I suppose, but it's also a saloon. We've got loads of seating all the way around here, nice social area, and you can see these hatches up above. This is what I was talking about. You can open all of these, get loads of air into here. But there is also blinds that slide across, so there we go. You can close those over if you need to. And they've put handrails up in here as well, which is a good idea, of course. And then more windows with blinds up across here. There's a ton of light into here. Now this is where it gets really interesting, because there is a cabin here, double bed across there, and then an ensuite up here in the end. And that's fine. There's storage in behind here, like so. And then more storage up along here and also down underneath the bed. And if we go around to the other side, we'll find another cabin. Now this is full of all the cushions at the minute for the decks, so sunbathing cushions and cockpit cushions and so on, but you can see how there are bunks in here. So there's a bed here. I think that one lifts up looking at that. It looks like that's a Pullman bed, and another one down underneath, and a little desk area in here as well, just underneath there. And then this has its ensuite here. Now what you also have, if you carry on through here, is there is an area which would probably normally be used for sails and that sort of stuff you can take up through the forward hatch, but there are mattresses in here, so you could use that as a sleeping area if you wanted a bit of overflow. Then you've got it, and you probably access that through there rather than coming through this cabin. And they would both access this toilet as their en-suites. But what's really intriguing about this, and there are more cabins, or one more cabin to show you, but before we get to that, let's go around here. And what you've got is this bulkhead, which looks super solid, is in actual fact, you can see it moves. And the reason for that is, if we undo that, this whole bulkhead, you can lift out, look at this, into there. And what you do, I won't take it all out now for obvious reasons, put that one back. What you can do is remove all these panels one after the other, take that centre section out, remove those panels, and have this as a massive forward suite. So if you don't need so much sleeping area and you just want super comfort, that becomes one great big cabin right the way across the full width of the boat. Just depends how you're using it, how many people you've got staying on board the boat and that kind of thing. But if it's just two couples, for example, and they're spending a long time, you can make it into a real luxurious area with, in fact, two en-suites. Remarkable. Let's head on back down this side a bit further. Chart area is over here. This one has a computer system on it. Do you know what that does? I've got no idea. It says, let's connect you to a network, something clever. Moving on. Switch gear is here, and you've also got your VHF radio in here, and wind instrumentation is there as well. And as I say, that's just a chart area there, and some little areas for your pencils and bits and pieces, and more storage about the place. Like this. Also the main battery switches are in there as well. But the last thing down here to show you in terms of cabins is back here. This is quite spectacular. Look at this. Full beam of the boat. That's the master cabin. Absolutely huge. Really good size. This is the cockpit well here. So what you've got is you've got standing headroom around, and then it drops down over the bed a bit so that you can keep the cockpit nice and deep as well. Opening hatches, that's actually out into the cockpit, that one you can see. That's where the steering wheels are. And then this is storage in places like this, and all of this along here. Just a load of storage. Another little area there for a desk or a bit of chart work and so forth. TV in here as well. And we come on round. It is a boat that you can spend a lot of time on, isn't it? Look at how much storage there is tucked away in places like this. There we go, on around here. A load more storage down here, and then the ensuite to this cabin is here. Nice size, and a separate shower area. You can see these are the perspex doors that come across to make that into a totally separate showering area. Like so. That's a magnificent cabin, isn't it? As I say, full beam of the boat. Fantastic. All these traps in the floor, you might have noticed a little bit of creaking, and that's because there's loads of these little traps, and they are maintenance access traps, so you can get into the bilges of the boat. If we look over here, for example, there we go. In fact, these are storage in those ones, to be fair. Having said their access to the bilges. Yeah. Bit of both. There is some wiring and so forth in there, but it's storage as well. There we go. And talking about under the floor, a couple more things to show you out here. One is the engine. It's a 140 horsepower engine, and that, if we click these, lives down there, like so. But also in this area, if we look underneath this one, that is generator, a really decent sized generator right in the centre, keeping the weight nice and low and powering all of your 240 volt stuff when you're away from shore power. So that's a proper luxury thing, isn't it? Fantastic. So there we go. What we're going to do, we're going to finish off over here, I think. This one's for sale with Argo Yachting. I'll put a link to those guys in the description, so thanks to them, and thanks as ever to you guys for watching. We'll catch you on another one of these very soon. Take care, bye-bye.